Hello everyone, I'm Savannah Kepley and I am a middle school language arts teacher, and I am here sharing some things that you can do this summer in order to help you prepare for a great and smooth start to the school year. You want a calm start, like you don't want to start where things are automatically chaotic, and so I think this series can help you start off on the right foot. So we started off with video number 1 where we were talking about creating a game plan for your classroom. So just a pacing guide of what you're going to teach. And then my favorite thing was video number 2 when we talked about classroom management and what you can do to lock in your classroom management plan. Tip number 3 was like solidify your communication methods, how you're going to communicate home with your parents. Tip number 4 was to go ahead and write that welcome letter so you can have that ready to go. And now we are at tip number 5, the 5th thing that you can do, 5th and final thing. I'm sure there's a whole cajillion list of things that we can do to prepare for the school year because it's never done. But this is the 5th thing that you can do in order to, you know, go into school feeling a little like, I got this, right? Like your little crayons on, you're strutting in like, I am prepared. And that's what I want you to feel like when you go into school. So the 5th thing that you're gonna do is that you're gonna go ahead and plan that first week completely out. Bonus points if you can plan week 1 and week 2. Have everything that you want to do already laid out, because when you go to school, if you have not been to a school setting, or maybe like during the summer we forget what it's really like at the beginning of the school year. It's kind of like having a baby, right? You forget the pain that you go through at the beginning. So when you get to school, at least in my situation, it is like go, go, go as soon as you walk in the door from your first work day. Very little time to set up your room. There's lots of meetings and then parent meetings and meetings upon meetings. So at least in my experience, we have had very little time to get things ready. And then the time that I do have, I want to be working on setting up my classroom, not on my lesson plans. So I want to have this done before I get into class, so I can go ahead and start on what I need to start on with setting up my classroom. Let me show you what mine looks like my first 2 weeks. If you're an ELA person, then you're gonna love this because I have this for you. Okay, so this is our week 1 lesson plan. It's all about the beginning of school and building and establishing positive relationships with our students. So that is the goal of everything on this lesson plan. So what I like about this is that I can click up here where it says double click for the date, and then I can actually click the date that I need, which I love. And then I also love these little drop down boxes where I can classify what I'm doing in the classroom. So the very first thing is that they come in and I take attendance and I learn their names, because that's super duper important. When they come in, they have an assigned seat that they sit in that I've already have labeled on their desk. And so that way we start out with a structured environment and they know that I think they are important and I'm going to learn their name. Next, we do a teacher introduction activity. I have 3 here for you to choose from. We have Bitmojis, Guess My Teacher's Text, and Emoji Decoder. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about those right here. Okay, so I have 3 teacher introduction activities that you can choose from if you are looking for a great way to introduce yourself to your students. And then I might throw a little bonus one in at the end that my husband does with his students. So let me show you what the 3 activities that you can do, and then I'll tell you which one I'm going to do. The first one is an oldie but goodie, and it is your Bitmoji classroom, where you can just have this up and then you can click on it and then you can talk about the different parts. I love that picture, Wheatley. And then you can go back and just like introduce yourself this way. And these are just like good talking points. So that is the first one. The next one's one I made last year. It's called Guess Your Teacher's Text. And so what you do is you just type in different responses 2 questions, and then the students have to guess which one is yours. And then I just go question by question, have them write it down on whiteboards, and then hold it up, and then at the end, not at the end, but after everybody holds up their whiteboard, I show them the right one, and then we go on to the next set of questions. Now, this third option is the one I'm going with this year that I am super excited about. This is called the emoji decoder. And so what happens is students analyze your emoji collection, and then they use the emojis to write your bio. And so, for example, this is my emoji collection. So this is like, I love to read books and drink coffee. I love to travel. I've been teaching 19 years. I've been married 20 years. I love to run. In fact, I ran in college. I have 2 cats. Christmas is my favorite season. I love naps. I love big hair. Summer makes me think of swimming and the beach. I am the oldest of my siblings. I like to wake up early. Clothes make me happy. This is supposed to be Brussels sprouts, but Brussels sprouts, broccoli, I think are disgusting. But I am a pescatarian. So I'm going to have this up on the Promethean board or Smart board or whatever I have in my classroom next year. And then students are going to work together to write my biography based on just this. So they're going to have to put all the pieces together to try to figure out who I am as a person and teacher. I have a little bonus for you. I'll share with you what my husband does in his classroom. He actually plays Kahoot, and he puts up just things about him, and they have to guess which one is correct. And he likes that, and they seem to enjoy that in his classroom. So I feel like these are amazing. They're my jam. If you're an ELA Unlimited member, they are right there, hyperlinked on the lesson planning guide, ready for you to use. Right, so after we do that teacher introduction activity, it's time to really establish and set the tone for your classroom. And so I do that by explaining my top 5 classroom expectations. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that right here. So one of the first things I do is set my expectations, because we cannot get irritated at our students if we never tell them what we expect, like explicitly what we expect, and then stick to it, right? So we have to like set those expectations. So let me show you my 5 basic expectations that I share on day 1 with my students. So here are my Google slides, and let me tell you, I love a good Google slide. All right, first one, we are ready to learn. So on time, minimizing restroom breaks, prepared with materials, and they stay awake during class. Okay, I want to talk about this one called Stay in Your Work Area. So I have a very collaboratory classroom. So we collaborate a lot. It's like laboratory and collaboration together. So we collaborate a lot, and we do a lot of things, but my expectation is they stay in their work area. So I have trash cans on their table, so we keep trash at their table. They use pens, so they do not get up and sharpen their pencils, because it's never about getting up and sharpening your pencils. It's about distracting people. And then raise your hand if you need something. I do not want to be mobbed like I am Taylor Swift at that moment. So in the classroom, I will come to you. You do not come to me. This one's pretty self-explanatory. Their electronics have to stay out of sight. Book bag put up, I don't see it. I don't see AirPods in their ears, and their smartwatches are actually being used as a watch. So for me, this one is super important. We are keeping our communication respectful and appropriate. So for that means for my classroom, we avoid those side conversations. What I call it in my classroom is talking across tables. We can talk to our table friends, but we are not talking to other people. We're not blurting out, and we are keeping negative thoughts. We all have them. It's okay. We have negative bias sometimes. We're keeping those on the inside. We are not blurting those out. And you have to be super, super consistent with this. So if you see people talking across tables or blurting out, stop it. Just be like, no, we're not doing that in this classroom. And when you set the expectation, they will meet the expectation. This is my final big expectation, and then I have routines and procedures that help support these. But this is super important, and it's maintaining that positive environment. What we put out, we get back. So we want positivity in our classrooms. We don't want it to be a place that brings us down and brings other students down. So in order to create that positive environment, we are respectful of differences. We don't all have to agree with each other, but we keep our negative comments on the inside, and we say, you do you, I'll do me. That's okay. We celebrate accomplishments, even if it's not our best friend. We are clapping and we are happy when people succeed. And that leads into the final one. We encourage each other. And so that begins with you. You're setting that expectation. When you do it, they will do it, and you will have a positive classroom. I promise.
All right, so after that, I'm going to teach them the focus back procedure, because we're getting ready to do a super fun icebreaker activity, and I want them to have fun, but I don't want to yell over them and it to be chaotic. So I need to teach them how to focus back on me, and I'm going to go ahead and talk about that right here.
So we've all seen those super cute elementary school teachers with the wireless doorbells. If you haven't, let me show you what it looks like. Right here. It comes with that big part, you plug it into an outlet, and then that little part you hold on to. So we all seen them, and now you need to know how to use it in your middle school classroom. So what I do is I ring the bell, and then I say focus up here in 5, focus up here in 4, focus up here in 3, focus up here in 2, and then my expectation is by the time I get to focus on me by 1, that everybody's eyes are on me. And so, like all things with classroom management, it does not magically happen. So what we have to do that first week of school, day 1, we practice the focus back procedure. So I ring my little doorbell and I'm like, focus back here in 5, focus up here in 4, focus on me in 3. And then we practice it. I make them talk, we do it. I make them talk, we do it. We do it until they are trained, and they do it every single time. I don't start and move on until we have this down.
How to focus back. We are going to do our fun icebreaker activity. Now, I do have 3 here for you to choose from. Pipe Cleaner Creations, which is where they create an what is it called? Like an animal, or they create an object out of 2 pipe cleaners, and then they have to describe it by giving it a personality and a name, and they share it with the class. We have Personalized Table Tents, where that's a fun one as well, where they just talk about themselves and they create a table tent that they can use in the classroom. And then finally, the one that I'm going to be using is Gamecraft this year, and so let me show you what that looks like. First, we have Gamecraft. When I worked at the YMCA and when I went to NCAT this year, we did something similar. So I was like, I'm going to do that with my kids. So the rules are you have to work together to create a game. All the supplies that I give the students are required to be used during the game, and the game can only be played sitting down. So let's look at the supplies that they get from me. They get 4 paper plates, 4 popsicle sticks, 4 cotton balls, and then a mystery bag of activities. Or not activities, supplies. And so this could be anything from, I don't know, like toilet paper tubes or pieces of cardboard or bubble wrap, anything that you have laying around your house, you just put it in a bag. Students in groups of 3 to 4, give them their supplies, set the timer for 10 minutes and say, it's time to make up a game. And so they have to work together to make up a game that then they will explain to the class, and if you have time, you can play each other's games. Super fun. You get to start to talk to each other, and it sets a great collaborative tone for your classroom, and it's fun. So they have some time, they're doing the icebreaker activity, we practice the focus back procedure, and then the students share their creations, or they share something from their table tent, or they share their game, and I am praising all their accomplishments today. And then we're almost done with class, so I'm going to teach them the procedure of how to dismiss the class, because the bell doesn't dismiss them. I do, right? You do. We need to go ahead and set that tone. So at my old school, we just had a certain time where we had to dismiss everybody. There was no bells. But from what I understand, at the new school, there is a bell. So my expectation is when the bell rings, I'm just going to put my hand up. And if it's like something I'm finishing, I'm going to go ahead and finish it really quickly. And then when I put my hand down, they can pack up. Or when I have my hand up and the bell rings and I go ahead and put it down, they can go ahead and pack up and leave. So I really want them to know that if my hand is up, like I am pausing them. And then when it comes down, they can go. So I have some type of signal for them that it's okay to leave class. And then I make sure that everybody gets their welcome letter signed. And let me talk about the welcome letter here. Are you doing a welcome letter this year? Like, do you welcome your students to your classroom? Do you introduce yourself to your parents? Is that just a elementary school thing? I don't know. Maybe I'm an elementary school teacher at heart. I don't know, but I do a welcome letter to introduce myself and set my expectations and to get a little information about my students and my parents so I could have it all in one place. Let me show you what my welcome letter looks like. So mine is front to back, so that's the front, and then that is the back. I created it on a Google slide, and I just introduce myself, say hey, that kind of thing. Then I talk about Google Classroom, which, oh my gosh, I'm not using Google Classroom this year, so I have to figure that out. And then materials they need, and then keeping up with assignments through the Remind app. I put the code there. And then if they want to contribute to my Amazon wish list, I put the information there. And then I put a QR code here as well so they can scan it. So that's about me, and then I want some info about them, about their student. What do you want me to know? What motivates them? How would you describe them? And of course, does their child have daily access? But I might take that one off because I think my new school, we all have computers. And then right here, I get their email address and put mine with some QR codes so they can just scan it and add it to their phone. That is day one. Woo! We need a nap, right? That was, so much work. But we're going to come back for an even more fun day for day 2. So again, you can double click for the date. When they come in, you take attendance. Try to remember as many names as possible. That's super important. And we're going to do another building relationship icebreaker game called Point Pursuit. And I'm going to talk about it here. So this game is called Point Pursuit, or this icebreaker activity. And so what students do is they have to complete as many challenges as they can within the time frame, and then they have to work together. And so a lot of the challenges are just like creating something and then uploading a picture. And like this one, stacking things from their book bags and then uploading a picture. The tallest one will get bonus points. And let me see what the next one is. So you have to write your team members' names and then find out something surprising or interesting about them. And let's see. They can just pick random ones. They can find an object in the classroom and write a simile about it. Take a picture of the object with your simile written on a piece of paper next to it. As you can see, each activity or each challenge has points assigned to. I did something similar to this activity at a teacher training that I went to this past year, and it was so much fun. Like, I got to know my little group, and we went around and we did these little activities, and we just really became close because of this one little game. So I encourage you to maybe try this out. Come up with 10 to 15 challenges. They don't have to do all of them. They do what they can in the allotted amount of time. They can turn it in at the end of class or the end of the time, and then you could go through and quickly add up the points. So after I explained the point pursuit game, I also am going to reinforce the expectation of how they behave in a group setting. Like, they only talk to their table friends. We're not wandering around. If they have questions, they raise their hand and I come to them. Remember, we did that on the 5 classroom expectations. So we're going to make sure they are upholding those expectations. So what happens is, if a student does not uphold these expectations, you send them back. So let's say they try to come up to you and you're like, oh, remember, you don't come up to me, I come up to you. And so you send them back, make them actually do what you expect them to do, then you follow through and help them. So after the game, it becomes a little bit more of an independent activity, and it's a student questionnaire. In this questionnaire, I think it's a lot of fun because it asks a lot of different types of questions. Let me go ahead and show it to you. This is the student questionnaire, and I put it on a Google form so I can just easily organize their responses. and it gives them practice on Google Forms as well. And so I kind of like these questions. It's like, if you could choose one famous person to drive you to school every day, who would it be and why? If your best friend was going to describe you in one word, what would it be and why? How do you feel about school and why? So it just keeps going. There's about 20 questions. They're really engaging. In fact, a lot of people who have purchased this resource comment on how great the questions are. So I think it really helps them dive deep. Besides, what's your favorite color? I mean, that's important too, but I want to know a little bit more about them as well. So that is the student questionnaire, and it's a great time to have some quiet, peaceful time in your classroom and really start to set the expectation of independent work time and what that looks like in your classroom. Independent work time in my classroom looks like students are working independently. We're not talking across tables. They're focused on what they are doing. When students finish questionnaire, that's if they did not finish it in the classroom, it is going to be their homework. And they also need a water bottle and notebook for class tomorrow, because we're going to start getting into the nitty gritty of class in our routines and procedures. So now we are on day 3, Wednesday. And this is where we really start teaching some flow things, like how your classroom is going to flow. So the very first thing I do is I have an agenda slide posted. Let me show it to you. So this is my old one. I am making new ones this year, but I want to go ahead and show it to you so you can get the gist of it. So when they come into the classroom, it has everything that they need to get out. And then it also has a 3-minute timer. And I have this up at the very beginning of every single class period. So it's all about setting those routines and expectations so you can have a calm classroom environment. And what I do is I am a teacher that rewards students for meeting my expectations. That works for my teaching style. Yes, I have expectations, but I also want to make it fun and engaging, and I want them to be there, and I want them to feel positive about themselves. And so I do that with a little extrinsic motivation. And for my first classroom incentive, I just do tickets or yellow squares of construction paper cut out. And so when students come into the classroom and they're doing what they're supposed to, I give them a ticket. And y'all, I make it rain tickets. They like it. Okay. So after they come into the classroom, I'm going to have that agenda slide posted. And what I need to do is I need to teach them how to come into the classroom and how to set up their notebook for the day. So I have this agenda slide posted. But if you have been teaching for a while, you know that they're not going to do anything. They're not going to get things out. So what we have to do is we actually have to teach the procedure of how to come into the classroom and set up their notebook for the day. So I tell them my expectations is that they will get this stuff out during this time period. And so what we do is we practice just like with everything else. We go out into the hallway, they line up, they come in, they get their stuff out while the timer is playing. If we don't all do it correctly, we go out into the hallway and then we try it again. What I do on my end is I praise people who are doing it correctly. I'm like, thank you, Kimora, for getting all your stuff out. I love how you have your notebook out. And thank you, so-and-so, for getting your stuff out. Thank you. And I'm giving tickets, right? And so it reinforces what I want them to do. So everybody wants positive praise, and so everybody will jump on board. But the big thing is that you need to keep practicing it until they all have it down, because you'll do this every single day. It creates a calm environment when they come in. It's so good. Okay. So they come in, they get their stuff out, and then they set up their notebook for the day. And I just have that on the board. I will link my notebook setup in the description below if that's something that you're interested in. And so after we have done all that, we start with what will be our bell ringer for a couple weeks, which is question of the day. It looks like this, and basically it's just getting the students in the habit of coming in and starting on something. And I wanted it engaging to begin with. And so it's all about stream of consciousness writing. They write without stopping. They don't erase anything. All their thoughts are important. And I tell them to begin with, don't worry about structure, just let it all flow. And then I pose a question. This is on the board. And then while the song is playing, they they write about their answer in their notebook. And that is question of the day. And that will be our bell ringer for, like I said, the next 3 weeks. And then after that, we play the super fun, exciting game of bottle flip. And I'm going to talk about that here. And then finally, I have a game that we have been doing since, I don't know, the first time I saw Do Perfect. I came up with this game because I thought it would be so much fun. And I've sold it on Teachers Pay Teachers. And every time someone buys it, they give it a 5-star review because they just love it because it's so much fun. Let's check it out. So this is called the Bottle Flip Lightning Question Round Ultimate Challenge. And so the first thing I do is I show them this video from Do Perfect about bottle flipping. If you're a middle school teacher, you know what it is. They know what it is, but it's a fun intro. And then I give them instructions. So here's how you play the game. The oldest goes first. If they flip the bottle and it lands upright, then that student gets 2 points. Now the other student gets a turn. So we're putting our students in partners. If they flip the bottle and it does not land upright, they have to draw a random question. And these random questions are fun. They're like, what animal does your dance moves resemble? That kind of thing. Then if the student answers the question, they get a point. If they say, I don't know, the other student gets a point. So it encourages them to share. And now the other student gets a turn to flip. So that's all you're going to have time for on Wednesday. Again, we are creating that fun and engaging, creative classroom, but one that's well managed. So make sure you're practicing that focus back procedure. Make sure you are staying with the how to dismiss class procedure, because consistency is key to classroom management. All right, we're on the second half of the week. Thursday, again, you double click for the date there. You have your agenda slide posted. And this time, your students know what to do. They should know what to do. And your timer is playing. And when the students come in, the ones that remember, it might take you like pointing to the board and then like saying thank you and giving tickets to people who are doing it correctly, who are getting out all of the materials that are listed on the board. So you're reinforcing that positive behavior. You're reinforcing the behavior that you want. And again, they have 3 minutes to get it out, and praise people who are getting their agenda and getting their materials out. You're going to go over names again, and then you're going to do bell ringer. See how we're starting to get a little flow here? So we have our bell ringer that's coming up. It's question number 2, so it's the same routine. We're building a consistency, right? So they answer the question in their notebook. And then we're going to do a fun getting to know you activity. I have 3 listed here, an all about me 1-pager that looks like this, alpha autobiographies that look like this, and then probably the one that I'm going to do is the digital collage that looks like this. Except I'm only going to do probably slide 1 that has the poem and the digital collage with it. And then for homework, they're going to complete this activity. As a tip, if you are doing this digital collage and even the 1-pagers and alpha autobiographies, you can print them out and create a bulletin board with them. And that's a great first week of school thing to do. All right, we are in our final day. You made it a whole week. So exciting. You're exhausted, but you're happy because you are creating that positive, engaging classroom for your students, and they are just loving you. And so they come in. Look at that. We're having consistency. You have that agenda slide posted. You reward students with a ticket that come in and follow it. You thank them for following your expectations. You're setting that positive tone. When students see you thank other students, they want to be thanked as well, so they will get their stuff out. It just happens, I promise. You go over their names. Hopefully you have them all by now. Look at us building our routine. We're into our bell ringer. The students should be familiar with the flow now. So you're doing question number 3 at the bell ringer. And then it's time for our first mini lesson, which we're doing a digital etiquette mini lesson. Let me show you what it looks like. So with this mini lesson, what we are focusing on for me is that email and discussion board techniques. So what I'm focusing on today is the email portion of digital etiquette. Have you gotten the emails that are all in the subject lines? Yes. Have you gotten emails that no one signed name? There's no capital letters, nothing? Yes. So we want to make sure students know our expectations for email. And then we reinforce it with this fun little email activity. So here is the email activity. They just pick one of these prompts and then they have to email it to you following the procedure that they just learned in this digital etiquette mini lesson. Also, with this digital etiquette mini lesson, you can have them take notes or you can print the slides and put them in their notebook. It's up to you and then your classroom style and what your students feel comfortable with. Like I have several inclusion classes where we would print the notes and they would highlight what was important and then just glue it into their notebook. And that worked for them. And then if they don't finish, that will be homework. Woo, yay, you did it. Yay, week 1 is in the books and we are feeling good.
That is it. That is my lesson plan for the week. That's how I have everything laid out. And so I am ready to go once school starts, where I can work on my classroom and go to those meetings without any stress. If you would like a copy of this lesson plan, then I have it for you. If you just click the link below, you actually get 2 weeks of lesson plans, not just week 1. So you can have 2 weeks ready to go. If you are looking for more stuff like this and the resources that go with it, I highly encourage you to check out ELA Unlimited, where you can download all the stuff you need for your language arts classroom in one spot. It's like the go-to hub for middle school language arts teachers looking for creative, engaging resources. If you have any questions, let me know, drop them in the comments. And that's it. I hope you have a great school year. Bye. Oh my gosh, are you still here? Did you stick around to the end? If you did, I love you because you're so committed. And so because you're awesome, I wanted to share a special little gift for you, and that is 50% off your first month of ELA Unlimited. So that means you can get everything. You can download all the things for like, what is it? I don't even know. Less than $15. Like, I spend that at the coffee shop. But anyway, so I just wanted to say you're awesome and give you that little gift. So all you have to do is type in ELA 50, all caps, no spaces, in the code where it says discount code, and it will give you 50% off your first month. Yay! I'm so happy for you. Let me know if you have any questions. Bye.